I am joined by Robert Griffin III, James White, Field Yates Meanekeims. All right, so first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays. What's going on, everyone? Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media, coming at you with another episode of Pat's Daily, brought to you by our good friends at Prize Picks and Game Time. And no, you do not have deja vu. Once again, we have James White on the pod, 3-time Super Bowl champion, member of the All-Decades team, co-host of the Money Down podcast. And as you saw, member of the intro. Very glad to have you back, brother, for this mailbag today. You're going to be answering some fan questions, talking about, there's a couple of things that are rumbling around for the Patriots right now. We're going to dive into those. But before we get into that, first of all, James, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. Appreciate you having me back. Obviously, it's a lot of stuff going on, in the media and in the locker room as well when it comes to the Patriots. So here to answer some questions.
And you got the wall of Sweet Feet behind you, too. I love that, man. That is a hell of an aesthetic. All I got is my Funkos and my,
Hey, those are sweet, too.
Thank you, brother. All right, so before we get into the mailbag questions, we got to discuss the elephant in the room. After the loss in London against the Jaguars, Jerod Mayo came out and said that we're a soft football team. Now, personally, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I know the Belichick tenets where you got to stop the run the ball, and cover kicks. That's what makes a tough team. But I also understand that people weren't really happy with the phrasing and took it to mean that he was calling the players themselves soft and not taking enough accountability. Now, he did correct himself the next day, said that the team is not soft, but they have been playing soft, which is a very distinct difference. So I'm curious, what were your thoughts when you heard the comments? What do you think about really the whole situation in general? And today we were in the locker room. We spoke to a bunch of players. No one pushed back. Everyone said, yes, this is a challenge. We are playing soft. We need to be better. So knowing all that, how do you feel about this whole fiasco?
I mean, I never took any issue with him saying it, in the first place, because he's just being honest. I know it's different than what Coach Belichick would do. He would kind of keep it very vanilla, wouldn't, really explain like what's going on to the media. I mean, he would say it, in our meeting room, he'll probably call us soft in the meeting room and kind of ask us what we're doing, like what's going on as far as execution wise. But I think it's just a little bit different. Everybody hearing, this much openness, from a coach about what's going on. I think he's just trying to get his team going. I mean, whether they take it the right way, I don't know. Whether they take it the wrong way, still, I'm not sure. I'm not in that locker room. I don't know what the temperature is right now as far as those guys, but they should take it to heart. You should. And I saw it on, David posted a little clip from his podcast, and I always felt the same way. Like when Josh would get on us or when Bill would get on us, in the meeting room or call us out individually or as an offense or as a defense, yeah, it sucked. You know what I mean? Like you would take it personally, but like David said, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Like you think we're playing soft? Like I'm gonna come out here against the Jets on Sunday and I'm gonna hit them in the face. I'm gonna show you we're a tough football team, that type of thing. So I think he's trying to get that type of response from those guys. I know Bill had a little fun with it as far as him saying like they had, the top team in the league as far as yards per carry on defensive wise and all that, which rightfully so. Like they played a little bit better last year. I mean, they're dealing with some injuries, as well in the defense with some guys I think will help with as far as the run defense. But I think the want to just has to be there as far as everybody, offensively and defensively.
And you mentioned those injuries. So for the run defense, Bill did acknowledge, yeah, you had the best run defense last year, but this year you got at least guys that are out indefinitely are gone. You don't have Christian Barmore. You don't have Juwan Bentley, no Lawrence Guy, no Jabril Peppers. And even today, Keon White said to NBC Sports Boston's Caleb Burton, they're trying to find that real leader amongst the group because you got the more quiet guys like, John Jones is trying to step up. Duggar's really more of a soft-spoken guy. A lot of guys that lead by example. So obviously defense and offense, it's not the same. But how have you ever been in that kind of situation where you lost several key captains, leaders that were really vocal leaders as well who had key roles? And really, what is that like for a team when you don't have that kind of vocal leadership?
I've never been in like a type of situation that they've been in. When I was there, a lot of the main guys are still there. Devin, Slate, Tom was there for a good amount of time. Julian, we never really dealt with, too many guys that haven't played a bunch of snaps for the team. And right now, you lose Bentley. You have Gottschall in the middle. He's been there for a few years. You have Dietrich Wise. But most of those guys, they haven't, been a part of the organization for too long. And like John Jones, he's a leader. He definitely is. But when it comes to stopping the run, like he's not really a part of that. Like if he's in the slot, yes, he is, but he's not too much like in that front seven where he can handle that. So like a guy like Juwan Bentley is definitely important. Maybe it's a guy like Gotchow or Dietrich Wise, which he in his media press conference either today or yesterday, he said like I take responsibility for that. Like I'm a leader. I feel like I need to take more accountability for us being a soft football team, which is good to see. And like make sure it's a point of emphasis in practice, making sure everybody's in their right fits and their right gaps. Not only just being there, but you can't really show in practice. But when the game rolls around, not just be in your gap, but actually get off a block and make a play. Well, that doesn't mean be a hero or anything like that. Where guys are jumping off their blocks and all that, trying to make a play. But when it's your chance to make that play, the running back's coming through the hole, like you have an edge on a blocker, get the guy down. Which I saw a ton of arm tackling against the Jaguars, where guys were in position, kind of stick an arm out. Bigsby's running through it, Dearness Johnson's running through it. You know what I mean? So when these backs and these players in this league are too talented, just stick your arm out and think you're going to make a play. You got to bring that physicality with you.
And Keon White also mentioned that guys are trying to make a play, but we've also heard for multiple weeks that, you can't go outside of your responsibility because it's the same mantra. You got to do your job, because if you want to be the hero and you want to be the guy that's making plays, you're going to put other people in difficult positions. And that's where other weeks it's been just they get gashed a few times a game. Last week was one of the only times I can remember the Patriots getting a run on right in the getting just punched in the mouth.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like they were getting gashed. They're just getting the Jaguars just getting 3 and 4 yards of pop. And it wasn't like they were just, doing some wrinkles and all that. They were just getting straight downhill. Like, look, we're going to get these 3 and 4 yards until you stop it. And we couldn't. Like, that's just simply what it was. And when teams see blood in the water, the Jags aren't a physical football team as far as run the football. That's the first time I've ever seen them do that in quite some long time, since probably like when Fournette was there or like Fred Taylor or anything like that, and Maurice Jones and Drew. They're just like, hey, we're going to keep handing to these backs, milk this clock. We got to lead until you stop it, which we had the fourth down stop, down the red zone, which was good. Like I thought guys made some plays like in the run game, but it wasn't consistent enough to steer them away from it.
100%. Now, the last thing before we get into the mailbag, you mentioned leadership and taking responsibility. Jerod Mayo has been under fire for people kind of perceiving that he is not taking accountability, and people thought that he was kind of putting the team under the bus. Now, personally, I haven't really seen it that way. I feel like Jerod just understands intrinsically, yes, it is my responsibility. I'm the head coach. But also, he's still working on his media persona and all that. But, what you say does unfortunately matter in those situations. Is there anything you think he should maybe be doing differently? Like I asked him today on the TV and the broadcast, they show you on the sideline, but they never really show like with Bill, where he would be in the huddle talking about like, do your job, stick to the fundamentals and pointing things out. He mentioned he'll do that sometimes, but also will defer to his coordinators and things like that. So when you're losing, everything is
everything's under the microscope. Yeah, man, that's just kind of what it is. I mean, when you're 1-6, things aren't going right. You can't score on offense. Teams are running over you on defense. People are gonna find any little thing that you're doing is gonna be the wrong thing, and they want you to do the opposite of what you're currently doing. Yeah, he could be a little bit more involved in the huddle. Not like it's gonna be some game changing thing at the end of the day. Like, you just got to put those guys, during the week in the best position to succeed based on the team you're playing. Make the adjustments, on Sunday or Monday, whatever it is. When things aren't going right, try to make some quick adjustments on the sideline to figure things out to get it right. But yeah, I just think everything's under the microscope right now. And that's what happens when you're losing football games. I think Mayo's doing a solid job. I just think it's different. Like people just aren't used to it. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be himself. He can't go and be Bill in the media. That's come on, let's just call it that. He's not gonna be less talkative and less descriptive. Maybe eventually he'll get to that point. I don't know. He's just kind of trying to be himself, and I think people aren't really open to that right now because we're not winning. So people are like, all right, why are you saying all this? Why are you saying all that? Like just keep it quiet. We don't want to hear that, like that type of thing. I think we just gotta let things play out. It's just the nature of the game. Like when you're losing in the NFL, you're gonna hear things, all sorts of things of what you need to do, what you shouldn't do. That's just what comes with it.
So actually, last question before the mailbag, because we're talking about coaches under fire, how everyone's always getting questioned. Alex Van Pelt. Now, he's obviously come under a lot of fire himself as well. I think what he's done with Drake May is very admirable. I think that's the biggest reason he was brought in, was to develop Drake May and also obviously tailor the offense around him and things like that. But from your perspective, you played for one of the best offensive minds in the modern era of football. What have you seen from Alex Van Pelt? Do you think he's doing a good job, or the things you'd like to see him do better? Just what's your take on how he's been, coordinating, commanding the offense?
I think he's been doing a pretty solid job. I like early on in the football game last week, getting Drake on the move, some bootlegs, get him outside the pocket, let him stand in there and make some throws. I honestly thought the pass protection was pretty decent, against the Jags compared to previous weeks where, every time there's a drop back, guys are in the quarterback's face. He had quite a few, clean pockets. So I do think he must have addressed that as far as protecting the quarterback. And I think he's just trying to find the right, personnel as far as receiver. I mean, obviously Hunter's a solid tight end. He's going to be the feature guy as far as that. Just finding the right receiver groups to get, things going right now. Polk's in a, little bit of a funk. I'm sure he'll get out of that at some point as far as getting open, catching the football. Bouteille's been pretty solid. Bourne, he's just trying to get back into things his first couple weeks back. He'll get it going eventually, but you got to find, Pop Douglas, he was sick or whatever, so he couldn't play a bunch of snaps. But whenever you have a good group of guys, a solid group that you can consistently be out there, I think that helps. And I think if Pop Douglas played that whole game, who's definitely, Drake May's probably favorite target aside from Hunter Henry, I think that probably would have helped with that game some. But I love what I'm seeing from Boutte, though. He's making the most of his opportunities, taking the top off the defense, running pretty solid routes. But I do think it's not just an Alex Van Pelt thing. Guys just got to, get open. Like the Jags played a pretty decent amount of man coverage, and I would say there wasn't a ton of separation going on when they did run man coverage. So I don't think it's just about the coaches, which they can be better, but as players, you got to take a little bit more onus too.
Absolutely. All right. We are going to open up this mailbag and get to some of your great questions. But first, got to pay the bills. So quick word from our friends over at Prize Picks. Be right back.
Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers, and all you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you will watch the winnings roll in. For one more weekend, one Caleb Williams passing yard gets you a win on Prize Picks. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win for your lineup. So make sure to put that in to every lineup to watch those winnings roll in. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with injury insurance as well, which the way the NFL is going right now, you're going to want injury insurance, and you get that with Prize Picks. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all those withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, the money just comes in. So make sure you download the Prize Picks apps today. Use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game.
All right, we're going to start in some territory I know you're very familiar with. We're going right to the running back room. First question, what are your and James's thoughts on the running back room at the moment? They looked great in the first couple weeks, but have struggled lately. Now, Ramondre Stevenson obviously been dealing with a foot injury. I think he missed today's practice. Was listed as a foot, but also a personal matter. Antonio Gibson, I think he's been a bit limited, it feels like, because I'm surprised we haven't seen more from him necessarily. Jermichael Hasty took on a big role, had himself a touchdown on a throw where he was left wide open against the blitz. So what do you feel about that running back room? Also, obviously, including guys like Kevin Harris and Terrell Jennings.
I think the running back group's in a solid spot. Ramondre started off the year, pretty solid aside from the fumbles, in the first 4 games. I think Antonio Gibson, he's been pretty solid in spurts. And Jermichael Hasty, I'm pretty sure that was the most he's played on offense, right, last week, and he made some plays for us. So I just think they need to get those guys more involved in the passing game, too. All 3 of those guys can catch the football, get them in some isolation routes, some more screens, not even just screens, just get them out into the flat, get the ball in their hands, RPOs, get some blockers out in front of them, swing screens, get them in space. If you can't run the football, get these guys in space as quickly as possible. Line them up out wide, get them screens out there. I think there's enough talent in that room where those guys can make plays in space. Like I said, if your offensive line can't, win one-on-one blocks and double teams, you can't just completely eliminate those guys. I think those are some of your best players on offense. So I think we could use them a lot more.
I love you mentioned the passing game. I know you are a little bit biased towards running back pass game, but I've been thinking the same thing. Like, they have been doing more swings and stuff like that. Obviously, led to an interception in Drake May's first game because he tried to run it twice from the same look to Will Anderson. But the slip screens haven't been working, but at least they are trying. I would love to see Antonio Gibson more involved downfield. Like, when he got signed, my first thought was this is one of the best pass catching running backs in the NFL. Last week, they played a team that was vulnerable against some of those. I know Quincy Williams has been targeted a couple times deep against running backs. Hopefully we see that this week. But with the running game struggles in the past 2 weeks, is there anything that you've noticed specifically? It looked like last week, those backside pursuit on outside zone were giving them a lot of trouble. Week before, it felt like their doubles really weren't hitting. I know Mike and Wenu mentioned the blitzers and not being able to come off against double teams. So what's been going on from your perspective?
I just think we got to know what we're working with here as far as offensive line. We're kind of a makeshift offensive line aside from Mike and Wayne. These guys they're battling, they're fighting, but it's the NFL. You're going against some tough opponents every single week. I think as far as Alex Van Pelt to try and help those guys out, maybe just give the defense a little bit more eye candy, shifts, motions, flash blocks, just to cause a little hesitation for those linebackers, those secondary defenders, and maybe that'll allow for your backs to get through some of these holes or allow for the offensive linemen to get up to some of these blocks. They're kind of like what the 49ers do. They do a bunch of stuff before the snap or after the snap, but it's really the same thing. At the end of the day, you just got to dress it up a little bit, just cause some confusion. Maybe that'll help the running game out. So
hopefully. All right. What needs to happen to revitalize the Pats run game? Is the O-line play? And if so, what is going wrong there? We kind of already touched on it. Is there anything else? I know that was already there.
I think just dress it up some. I think outside zone has been their best play, since week 1. So so get back to that as much as possible. That's what the O-line seems to be their best at. Just continue to run that. Like I said, just dress it up some. Don't just line it up and run it every single time. Shift motion, have an RPO off of it, whatever it may be, or out of different formations, out of different personnels, whatever it's 2 back, however you may see fit. I think they need to get back to that as much as possible.
How about getting Drake May more involved in the run game? Because
that too, mix it in.
They're not really respecting the fact that he might just kind of take it himself. Would you like to see more of that from him as well?
Yeah, just mix it in there. I mean, it doesn't have to be 10 carries or anything like that, but short yardage, red zone, stick a little run in there, keep them honest, because that definitely can help the run game. If you got a quarterback that can run the football, that'll make defensive ends, outside linebackers just a little hesitant, especially on outside zones. Allow those guys to get downhill and get through the line of scrimmage. So that's a great idea.
Give him the old Peyton Manning naked boot. All right, let's see what we got next. I can see there's been a spark on offense since Drake May became the starter, but will we see the offense's true potential until the offensive line settles on a group and strings games together? Now, it hasn't been for a lack of effort that they haven't had the same offensive line combination. Yeah. We've seen multiple line combinations within the same games, and that makes it hard to even find the group you like, much less a group that you can actually put on the field because you want to. So what's your perspective on this one?
I mean, I think, like I said, I thought the offensive line did pretty decent as far as pass protection last week. So I got to give them a ton of credit based on what they've done, over the first several weeks. I think they've improved from that aspect. But yeah, if you can consistently have the same 5 guys out there, they'll build chemistry, they'll build trust, and they'll continue to get better. I just think it's just everything as a whole. I think you got to be able to run the football, and guys just got to, when you have those opportunities to make plays, down the field or win in one-on-one situations, the receivers got to do it. I think it's a combination of everything. I will say I think Drake has done solid. I thought last week he protected the football, didn't have the couple interceptions. I mean, I know he had the one in the red zone that was close. He tried to squeeze that corner out in there, and the safety made a good break on that one. But I think he's protected the football well. In 2 weeks, continue to do that. I think it's just everybody as a whole, just it all working together. I don't think it's just the offensive line, it's receivers too. Like, look, man, if you know what you got out there, in front of you, protecting you. Look, create as much separation as you possibly can. Make sure you get into your depths, versus zone coverage, whatever it is. Make sure everything is right for the young quarterback to go out there and succeed.
Perfectly said. Now we are going to get away from the offensive line because I just keep hitting you with those. On the offensive side, honestly, I'll open this up to the defensive side as well because we haven't really talked about them much. Besides Drake, are there any other players you think have upside and can grow with Drake moving forward? And obviously, really just with this new era of Patriots football.
I mean, Boutte, I think he's been the most impressive as far as, him, Pop Douglas, but Boutte for sure. We all know, this kid supposed to be the number 1 receiver off the board a couple years ago, and he had some off the field stuff and whatnot. So the talent is there. Seemed like he came locked in this year from training camp on, and he's been chomping at the bit to get his opportunity. So I'm excited to see him continue to grow throughout the year. And eventually, hey, I think Javon Baker's going to have to get out there eventually too, based on, what the receivers have been looking like so far. Get him in the mix. I mean, I don't know how many plays, whether it's a specific personnel, but just see what you got. Because when during the preseason, there's a couple of times where May was throwing it up to him. So I feel like the trust factor is there as far as trusting him getting behind the defense. So whenever he gets his opportunity, I'm excited to see that. And 15, Mapu, he's a good football player. I like his versatility. He can play man-to-man coverage. He'll get in the mix down there in the run game. I think the more and more he plays and stay healthy, that kid can be something special for the defense too.
And with Booty, I just love giving him his praise because I know last year was rough. Today we spoke to him. He mentioned, Kendrick Bourne said last week, I don't know what the plan was because the dude had one bad game and then he kind of got binged. Booty brought that up again and said, I talked to Jerod Mayo this year and said, that's just not happening again. I'm not doing it. All the coaches even said when he came in, they didn't really think that he was a starter. They didn't see him that way, but he put his nose down. He worked hard. Everybody talked about his study habits gotten better. He's asking questions in the meeting room. You love to hear that. And then Mapu, the fact that the first game back, he was out there getting everybody settled with the green dot, coordinating the defense. I thought that was really impressive. I really think he's got a bright future, especially if they can keep him on the back end. He's versatile, but I feel like he's better in that DMAC kind of role. Exactly, where it's like center field, but in those obvious passing downs, maybe some robber, maybe some man coverage, but just like he's not Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar. We need to stop trying to make he'll
get in there. He'll throw his face in there. I'll give him that. He'll throw his body in there. Doesn't always result in a tackle, but hey, you love the effort.
That's right. The effort's more important than anything when you're that size going up against offensive linemen. All right, we got a few more questions from the mailbag, but first, a word from our friends over at Game Time. Be right back.
Levi's Stadium at San Francisco 49ers, Patriots versus Niners. Little as $115 right now on the Game Time app. Not too bad if you're making the trip out there. If you didn't buy your tickets yet, wait a little bit more, but use Game Time because you might be able to get an even lower price as kickoff approaches. Game Time is the best ticketing app out there. We use it all the time. Our own game viewings, our concert viewings, etc. And they have a new feature now called Game Time Picks that makes it easier to get tickets to your favorite teams and watch them play live. It filters out all the fluff and shows you only the incredible deals and great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through those thousands of tickets. They have super deals. They have awesome deals. They have great deals. And again, the app is super easy to use. You literally just go in, you search Patriots. I'm doing it right now while we're on here, Taylor. Dolphins at Patriots for the following week. Could be Drake May's first start. Could have Tom Brady on the call. As little as $123 right now. And when you're in the app, you can click and look at your seat view and see what the game will look like right from your seat. So head over to Game Time today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time. All right, so I tried to keep this mailbag light on defensive stuff for you, but as a running back, I know you understand how defenses try to attack you and limit your run game, so I am curious here. When defending the run with limited personnel, like you got Jaquelin Roy and Eric Johnson trying to fill in the snaps for Christian Barmore, you got Raekwon McMillan, Christian Ellis trying to fill the gap left by Juwan Bentley. So what schemes are there to allow a team to punch above their weight class in the run game?
It's tough. I mean, as much as you can, try and get more people in the box than what they have blockers, try and discourage the run. I know we've never really been a big team as far as, pirate in the front, rock in the front, when the ball snaps, just cause some confusion, try and create an edge, sending guys, blitzers off the edge, slot blitz, safety blitz. I think those are the things you can try and help, not every single play, but mix it in there to try and create a negative play to catch, the offense off guard. I think a little bit of more of that will help. But at the end of the day, like I said, a lot of the times during this Jaguars game, guys were in position. It's just the Jags were creating their own yards. They run through the arm tackles, and get those 5 to 10 yard runs. I think it just comes down to effort and technique. At the end of the day, at times, even at double teams, they're blowing nose tackles, completely out of the hole. And it's hard. It's hard being a nose tackle, taking on those double teams. I know when I was there, they teach you to drop your knee, whatever you can to try and clog that hole, allow for some of your other defenders to make the play. So, yeah. I know it can be a scheme thing to try and do it, but to me, it's always run game is offensively and defensively. It's always about effort. I mean, schemes definitely help, but if you can out effort and out physical somebody, that out BC any scheme.
Anytime I ask like an Anthony Jennings or a Devon Godshaw about like their run defense, because those guys are just so dominant, it is just the most basic answer you'll hear because it's the truth. I just feel like it's effort. It's like, do you want to get blocked? No. don't get blocked. It really is that simple. And I know Mayo even mentioned today, someone asked, are you guys still a two-gapping scheme? And he mentioned, we have two-gap principles. We also do have single gap because, like that, there was that one slot blitz in the big nickel where they put Peppers in the slot, have him and Anthony Jennings just wreak havoc in the backfield. But again, it comes down to personnel because it's not the same when you have like Marte Mapu blitzing off the edge or, a Marcus Jones versus a Jabril Peppers who brings that hitting power and that physicality. So 100%, I think the confusion post-snap could help. But you also don't want to get too far away from your fundamentals because you've been coached this since training camp. You're not an attacking front at the majority of the time.
Yeah, you don't want to, and you don't want to get into too much of that because if they block that stuff right, that usually ends up being a gash. So that's why some teams just don't do it. If teams know it's coming, they have the right run, get it all blocked up. That creates a big play. So, I think it's just 1-2 at the end of the day. And like I said, they have the guys to do it, man. It's just been a couple weeks where they've really slipped up as far as the run game. It can be shored up. That's why we got a lot of football left to play. People just can't hit the panic button just yet.
I understand the standard. You helped set that standard. I'm sorry, Dave. You're partially responsible for all this backlash. You know what? I won't dig on it too hard. All right. Next question. What do we got? A couple quick hitters before I get you out of here. From Lowe's, friend of the show. Hey, guys. For James, what would you say felt like the lowest point of your career, and how did you ultimately get out of it?
Lowest point of my career was my first year in the NFL. Getting drafted, only playing in 3 football games, inactive the entire year, aside from those 3 games, and I pretty much just played cleanup duty like the last couple of drives to finish out the games to get a few reps.
Chiefs game was good, though. I remember.
Yeah. Chiefs game, yeah. I was just happy to be out there. We getting blown out. And I had those last couple of drives. I was just getting some good reps in. Just happy to be on the field for the first time. So that was an exciting moment for me. But that was the roughest year of football for me. Going from little league, high school, college, and then to you're playing every single game, most snaps on offense. And then you get to the NFL and you're back watching and. You almost feel like you're not a part of the team. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Definitely not rooting against my team and they want them to have all the success in the world. But you want to be out there and, do whatever you can to help your team win football games. So that was hard for me. But it helped me learn that, just because you make it to the NFL doesn't mean you earn the right to play. So my approach was not that I didn't approach it the right way my rookie year, but I took a completely different approach. Coming to my second year is like I'm gonna force them to have to put me on the football field, and it didn't result in that right away. And ended up scratching and clawing to make the team. Because I honestly thought I was going to get cut that year based on the amount of backs that we had, like 8 backs during training camp, and based on the preseason reps, it was looking like I was an odd man out. But ended up making the roster. Still was inactive like the first half of the season. Dion Lewis, heck of a player, was having a heck of a year, and I was still watching until my guy eventually got hurt, unfortunately, and that's when my opportunity presented itself. Which it happens to a lot of people in the league. Get your opportunity based off somebody in front of you getting hurt, and like I said, I just try to never look back from that one.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna close with something a little more cheery. All right, last question for you: if you could give advice to the fan base about dealing with these hard times, what would it be and why? Please talk them off the ledge. We need it.
Yeah, just manage your expectations, man. Like, look, coming into the year, I can assure most of you probably assume that we weren't going to win a ton of football games in the first place, and now that we're in this situation, everybody's ready to jump ship, fire this guy, fire that guy, trade this guy, get rid of this guy. That's not the way this whole operation works. Just it's Mayo's first year as a head coach. Just let him learn and grow throughout the year. Let these players learn and grow together. You got a rookie quarterback. Looks like his future is bright. Let him grow throughout the year. And look, we have a banged up offensive line, and it's tough to execute when your offensive line is banged up every week and you're shifting those guys, trying to figure out what you can do. So there's a lot of young talent here. Let's just find the positive. It may be hard. Just try and find the positive in what you see out there every single week. And I truly think these guys will continue to compete. And they will compete harder, as the year goes on. It's tough. It's not fun. I'm telling you, as a player, it's not fun going in that building after losses, especially after losing 6 in a row. I've never been in that predicament myself, but I can only imagine. And you got outside noise. Obviously, you're gonna have some noise inside the building too. I think Mayo will do a good job of keeping those guys together. But as fans, as we watch, it's nothing wrong with being a harsh critic. That is fine. But when it comes to saying fire this guy, trade that guy, I don't think we have to get there. This is year one of this operation. It's going to take time.
I think we got to clip that. Make that the promo for the video, James. All right, I'm going to get you out of here. Thank you so much again for your time. You got a lot of love in the chat. Everybody had fun. This was a blast, brother. So please, before I do let you go, remind the people, if they don't already know already, where they can find you. You got some good stuff coming down the pipeline. You should be looking out for.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you guys check out the Money Down podcast. It's myself, two of my former college teammates, Warren Harris and Jordan Shelton. We do talk some Patriots football, but we talk football, all sports, life, business, whatever it may be. The main topic of our podcast is called the Money Down situations. We say it applies to football, third down in the game situations, but applies to life, to where we all have moments where we got to bet on ourselves and go all in, and we want to share that moment for all of our guests. We had Tayler on there; he shared his moment, and all the guests that we have on, we want them to share their story to kind of give the future generations, or even older generations, some energy, some positivity to move forward with their lives. So that's what we're all about. We're on IG, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on the Believe Network. So it's been fun, continue to grow, and I'm sure some of you guys already check it out, and we appreciate the support. Anytime you guys do watch.
You fellas do an absolutely great job. I had a blast on the show. For Patriots fans, you get a little bit of your past news, but also some therapy. You get to talk about something else.
Get your mind off
it. Exactly. So once again, James, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all, as always, for watching. Now, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We will see you next time. Peace, y'all.